Jay, we just talked a little bit about how your season's really picked up some momentum and you've got rolling here. Not only has your team been playing a lot better, as you talked about getting that confidence, but all of a sudden they're starting to shoot better, which is something that you knew going into this year the guys would be able to do, and really through those first 7 games didn't show it well at all.
No, I think through 7 games we were shooting 19% from the 3 and about 38% from the floor. I think our totals now are about 34% from 3 and about 48% from the floor, which means we've shot it at about 55% from the floor and about 45% from the 3. Now, I don't know if we can keep that up, but we've shot the ball really well here the last couple games, couple 70% halves and some 60% games. But it isn't because we're just chucking in a bunch of threes. We're scoring the ball really efficiently around the rim. We're getting the ball where we want to have it, and that's always going to lead to a higher shooting percentage. And a lot of that is our guys just understand what we're trying to get done and how to get that done in our offense, which at the beginning of the year, quite honestly, it didn't matter what play I called. We didn't know what we were doing. We were trying to hope and instead of learn. And it wasn't because they didn't want to. It's a complicated offense to pick up, and it took them a little while. And now that they've got it, I think we're a pretty hard team to guard.
Coach, you had, as you talked about, back-to-back 70%, over 70% shooting performances in the second half against Dakota State and School of the Mines. Ended up shooting 60% or better for both of those games. James Rader in the South Dakota School of Mines game, I believe, had 16 points, 10 rebounds in 22 minutes. So you talk about that efficiency. What has contributed to that other than these kids just being comfortable with the offense?
Well, I think that's the biggest thing, obviously, but also just confidence is a funny thing. You got to see it go through the net, and they have. And Derek Brown carried us for a couple games, and then Keith Cutler did, and then Skylar has been steady all year, and James is very capable offensively.
Yeah.
And now we're getting big contributions offensively from AJ Holland, scoring the ball now a little bit for us, playing really well. Excuse me, and Bretson McNeil's really shooting the ball well. He's had 9-10 points our last 3-4 games. So we're just harder to guard, and it spaces the floor for Skylar, because if you're going to double down, you're going to leave one of our shooters open. And at the beginning of the year, no one was worried about doing that because we didn't make any shots. And it's twofold. The only frustration I have with this team is as we've shot it better, we've guarded less.
Yeah.
And that's just human nature. They think, well, now we don't have to hold them to 50 because we're scoring 80.
Right.
And, if I can get them to do both, we could be a scary team here down the stretch.
Well, Coach, you talked about AJ Holland, Bretson McNeil, some of those guys that came in this year and are starting to find their stroke in their group. When you look ahead at this year, and obviously Skylar is going to be gone and some of those guys, are you confident? Are you comfortable with the guys that you have coming back?
Oh, yeah. I'm happy with where they're at. And everyone needs to get better. If we come back exactly where we are today, I'd be disappointed. And we've got some scholarships open to add some pieces. We need to add some athleticism on the wings. I would love to add another guy who can block shots and rebound. But yeah, it's just going to be a different situation if we add 2, 3, 4 guys for next year, as opposed to only having 2 or 3 guys that played last year. Everyone will be better off for it. They'll have more guys to teach the new guys how to do it, where this year it really was Skylar and Dave. That's about it. And so I'm excited about where we could be. We know we've got to be better moving up to the level that we're at. But boy, if you'd have told me we'd even got to this level today when we were 1-6 by the end of the year, I don't know if I'd have believed it.
Right.
It's come so fast. And now I kind of give this analogy. Now it's like lifting weights. We've kind of hit a plateau. The big gains were easy. We were so far behind in everything that those big jumps were easy. And now it's the smaller details that we have to respect more than we have, and that we have to get better with. But those are harder to get better with than those big, massive jumps. And so, hopefully we can keep taking those littler steps now, because they won't be as obvious to everybody, but they're obvious to coach, that's for sure.
With a young team like this, and you're trying to get them to buy in to that whole package you talked about, and those big jumps being easy, trying to get young guys to focus on the details has to be, as a coach, one of the harder things you have to do.
Yes, my job's made easier because it's important to Skylar, and this is Skylar's team. And if I don't say something to a younger guy because he's not respecting, the details and some of that, I don't have to worry about whether Skylar or Dave will. And so, Now, this team's 100% bought in. When we make mistakes right now, it's not because they don't want to do what we ask.
Right.
It's because we all make mistakes. In a game that moves as fast as a game of basketball, there's always going to be breakdowns. Where at the beginning of the year, we either didn't know where we were supposed to go or weren't sure we really wanted to do it coach's way yet or our way. We're completely bought in. We still make mistakes, but they're not mistakes of being unsure. It's just they happen in the game of basketball.
Well, and I think that has to be one of the biggest differences. You move from a level of high school where you're doing most of the things right, you get away with it, you're playing against, most of these kids were the best kids on their team. For a college coach, it seems like the details and getting kids to understand and learn the game, that's where you have to be at your best. Is that true?
Yeah, it is. And every player is different. Some guys come in with a great, I didn't have to, Dave Maxwell understood what he needed to do as a player because his athleticism holds him back a little bit, so he has to be very smart in those other ways.
Yeah.
And then you have other guys that are really athletic and can get away at the high school level with not doing things exactly right, but now you get to this level, you need to. And, that's part of the fun. Watching guys get better is maybe the best part of my job. It's not game night.
Right.
It's going to practice every day and grinding with your guys and helping them become better and then watching the look on their face when they figure it out, the light bulb moment.
Right.
And on both ends of the floor. And that's what keeps me excited about coaching. Wins and losses, those things are going to happen on Friday and Saturday night. The reality is most people come to the game as fans, even supporters, and they leave and, okay, the game's over and whatever. We're the ones that are, going over the game in their head and why didn't we do this? But watching those kids get better every day and watching them understand that if you put the work in, that can happen, because that just helps them in life. And I'm not trying to be cheesy or anything. It's true. It's if they realize if you put the work in the right way, that you're going to get results. Maybe not the results you always want at the very highest level, because we all have ceilings in whatever we do, but that it pays off. I mean, that's the best part about what we do as coaches.
When you look back on this year, and you've had a lot of success here at USF, this has probably been the toughest year that you've had as far as teaching a team and coaching and record-wise and everything across the board, probably. But when you look back on this year, what are you going to take away from it?
Well, if we can continue to improve, and I'm not going to put numbers or wins or anything, but if we can continue to improve, I'm going to look back on this year really fondly. I really was down on this team, to be really honest, and they have proven me wrong, and they have improved and played better basketball than I envisioned that we were capable of. And boy, what more can I ask out of them?
Right.
There are times, in practice, and I say this joke to our assistants all the time, when a guy gets beat because he's not athletic enough, you can't make an elephant a cheetah, okay? And you can't make a cheetah an elephant. So if they're giving us the most that they can for what they're given physically and what we need out of them, boy, that's what I'll remember about this team. And quite honestly, the year that Skylar's had. And he doesn't get enough credit for what he's done for our program. I know he was in the newspaper on Sunday. That was all well deserved. But he, in my opinion, and Matt Zimmer's a big supporter of Skylar. He understands. But, this isn't just a one-year thing. This kid's been doing this for us for a long time. And that'll be the saddest thing that I'll remember is that last night when I'm coaching him for the last time, because I've had him in every game. And he's the one guy, because it's my fourth year, and he's the one guy that's going to get through here. And, that will be hard to deal with, but I'm really happy with him. But, it's been a good year. If you told me 10-7 at the beginning of the year, I would have taken it. Now I would have gotten there in a different way, but we're making strides, and that's what I want out of this year.
You've talked about David Maxwell. I want to go back a little bit. Had kind of a weird start to his year with some of the injuries, and then really was in a slump and not playing basketball the way that we've seen him play for the last few years. He's kind of broken out of that, but what have you seen develop from him over the year and as he goes into his senior year next year?
Well, he'll be better. He'll be better. He's playing better right now. His numbers don't always show it, but what people don't understand from the outside is a lot of his shots, a lot of his looks and play calls are going to Skylar. Because Skylar's playing at a high level. Now James is playing at a high level. And so Dave really kind of is our third option on our front line offensively. What people don't understand is Dave guards the other team's best perimeter player every night, and he's not a great athlete. He does it with his brains. And he rebounds for us, he moves the ball for us, and when we need him to score, he does. And so Dave, he's not a guy, I don't lay awake at night going, man, how are we going to, I want him to play better for his own sake.
Right.
I want him to shoot the ball better. But his game outside of his shooting has not changed. Steady Eddie. He gives me exactly what I know. He's the one guy on the team I know every night exactly where his head is and exactly what he's going to give me. And so I think he'll be better next year because he won't have some of the frustrating things that happened early that have led to the slump in the middle of the year, and now he's coming out of it. And he also understands, it's going to be harder at the next level for him than it was before. And if there's one guy that will take that challenge head on in the summer, I don't have to tell you, it's Dave. And he hasn't struggled as much as people from the outside looking in have thought. He just hasn't scored it as much. And we needed him to get us going the other night, and he had 12.
Yep.
We could go to him more, but then that takes shots away from Skylar. Right now, most teams we play don't have a guy man-to-man, one-on-one that can guard Skylar. And so that's where we're going to keep throwing the ball until we need to throw it to Dave, and then we will.
Coach, one more question here. And it's something I've been wanting to ask you, and I don't know why I never have, but... Well, no. Don't worry. But as you prepare for game day, what does your day look like? I mean, and obviously you've been breaking down film and stuff, but take us a little bit through your process of preparing for an opponent.
I'm going to be honest with you, even though I shouldn't be. Okay?
Take a nap on your couch.
Absolutely.
Eat
well, you got part of it right. I'm not a big worrier on game day. The hay's in the barn. I really believe that. I mean, you've worked, you've set everything up, you've had good practices. Even if you've had bad practices, there's nothing you're going to do about it, worrying about it for the game. I'll come in the office in the morning, I'll watch a little bit more film, just enough to not make myself nervous and freak out about things I can't control.
Right.
We'll meet as a staff about what we want to get done that night. We'll have a shoot around. Then we'll go to pregame. When pregame's over, I sleep on the couch in my office for about a half an hour to 45 minutes. Then I get up and I watch Trap's game, and then we go play our game. I mean, it's pretty much the same all the time. I don't pace around my office waiting and waiting. I mean, I wish the games were at 3 because I do hate waiting until 8 o'clock, but there's so much that you can control as a coach, and there's so much you can't. And if you worry about the things that you can't control, you're going to stress yourself out, and this could be a short-lived career in this profession. So game days, I don't mind them. I'd rather go to practice, quite honestly. When we went out and played Wyoming, Coach Shiat, and I were talking during shoot-around, and he said, us coaches love practice, the players love games. That's the biggest problem, and so that's what it is. I mean, that's my average day, but that's pretty much what it is. Now, on the road, it'll be different. I don't take naps on the road and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I kind of kick everybody out of my office for a half hour and do a little shut-eye and get up, wake up, ready to go.
That doesn't sound like a bad gig. Now, the other days of the week, I'm sure, where it gets after you. No Gary Williams sitting next to me here, sweating through a suit coat. So.
Well, yeah, I can do that too. I'm not the calmest guy on the sideline, that's for sure. And like you said, it's the other nights where you get home at 3 o'clock in the morning from recruiting, and then you got to get up and be at a meeting and then go to practice and those kind of things. So, that's my half hour where I can kind of suck up a little bit more sleep than I've had. I also have a 3-year-old at home, so you get sleep when you can, you take it when you can get it.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming on. Good luck. You go on the road against Minot State this weekend for a doubleheader up there. You talked about that's going to be a tough battle for you.
Yeah, they're a good basketball team. The record doesn't necessarily reflect it, but they've played 2 home games all year, and these are their last 2 home games, so they'll be ready. We're both going into the Northern Sun, so there's a little bit more added there. I mean, this is a league game. That's what we're telling our guys. I'm sure that's what Coach Stewart's telling his guys. And they've been on the road. They've played the toughest schedule in the country, probably. And so it's going to be a tough place to play. It's a big, huge dome arena that seats about 12,000. We haven't played in a venue like that in a while. We've been in the confines of the nice little Stewart Center. So there's a lot of things to be nervous about, but I just hope we can come out and play with great effort, and we'll see what happens.
Also a bit of a homecoming for you and Coach Taro.
Yeah, I spent 3 years up there. Loved my time up there. Learned a lot from the guy I work for. It's a different coach now, but when I left to take a head coaching job, Coach T actually took my spot, and that's how I got to know him. And so we've got a lot of friends up there, and it'll be fun to see them, but it'll be a lot more fun if we can find a way to win a couple games.
Well, we'll look forward to talking to you when you get back. Good luck. Appreciate you coming on.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
All right.